Hello and welcome back to Just Meg Elise, a podcast about healing, remembering who you are, and diving into deeper alignment. I'm Meg. I'll be sharing the soul work, self-reflections, and healing practices that have helped me, in the hopes that they support you too. So during today's episode, I wanted to talk about mirror therapy or mirror work, and how I learned to start speaking to myself with greater kindness. So I think all of us have stood in front of a mirror at one point or another and pointed out all of the things that we hated about ourselves. We became like our own little bully. We stand in front of the mirror, we point out our wrinkles, our cellulite, my skin tone looks weird, my hair looks weird, I'm getting fat, just all of the things. That voice could have been created from so many things. It could have been created from how a parent spoke to you, a grandparent, a sibling, a teacher, or it could have even been created by witnessing how somebody else spoke to themselves and assuming that that's how you need to speak to yourself. Like if somebody was hypercritical or had really low self-esteem, you might assume that that's how people behave, that's how people think of themselves. So many of us have done this. So many of us speak so poorly to our bodies when we look at ourselves in the mirror. And it needs to stop. And it's going to stop, starting with today's episode. So first, I just want to share my own story. I used to be my own worst critic. Definitely was my biggest bully. And a few years ago, I was standing in front of a mirror and I remember I was pointing out that I was getting fat, that, I had cellulite, my skin was too fair, my hair looks weird, all of the things. And I just had a moment where I thought, stop speaking to her like that. Stop speaking to yourself like that. And I said out loud, don't you fucking dare speak to her like that. Stop speaking to yourself like that. We're not doing this anymore. And honestly, that's why I named my book, Don't You Fucking Dare. I have since changed the title because I couldn't market the book in a lot of places because of the cuss words. So now it's just Don't You Dare. It's like a PG version of the original. But what I originally said to myself was, don't you effing dare. Don't speak to her like that. Stop speaking to yourself like that. And so what I talk about in the book is, since then, I use what I call disruptor phrases to help shift me when I'm having a really negative thought. A lot of times it's just the word stop. We're not doing this. When I catch myself in a really negative thought cycle, I'll go stop and I'll try and shift it to something else, whether that's a positive thought or thinking of the best case scenario or just coming back to the present moment, whatever it is. But that moment for me in front of the mirror, it was a huge turning point. From then on, I started to, every single time I would get in front of the mirror, I would try and point out something I loved about myself. And it was hard at first. It was so hard. I remember the first time I just stood in front of the mirror and I said, I love you. And I started bawling. It was like my body was saying, finally, she sees me. And I also remember the first time I was trying to find something about my body that I loved. It was hard, which is ridiculous because there's so many things about every single one of our bodies that we can love. I think the first thing that I pointed to was my eyes. I said, I love my eyes. I have beautiful eyes. And then it became, I love my hair. I love the color of my hair. And then as I built up to it, even though before I used to hate my fair skin, I started to say, I love my skin. I love how fair my skin is. I love my freckles. I love how unique I am. Things like that. Every single day it became easier and easier. And we tend to assume that things are never going to change, that our thought patterns are never going to change, which is completely false and untrue. I think about it like this. They're just ingrained thought patterns. I consider them like paths through the forest, which is how I refer to it in my book. So when we're walking through a forest, if we keep walking that same path every day, we're eventually going to carve out a path through the forest. Okay, that's just because you've been repeating that same thought, that same negative thought, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm no good, whatever it is, whatever the repeating thoughts are that you have, it's just because you've been thinking them for so long, you've dug out a path through the woods, you've created a neural network that fires the same way each time that you're having that same experience, each time that you're looking yourself in the mirror and looking at your thighs or looking at your skin tone or whatever it is. It doesn't mean those things are true. They're just ingrained thought patterns, but you can begin to create new ones. You can create new paths through the woods. Just start to walk down a new path. And yes, it has to be intentional at first. The brain just doesn't go down that new path at first. It's so used to going down that old path, it is going to fire down that old path each time. But here's the key. When you become aware, it's awareness First, when you become aware that you are thinking a really negative thought about yourself, whether you're standing in front of the mirror or just sitting in your car, wherever you are, whether you're in front of the mirror or not, when you become aware that you're thinking a really negative thought, here's what I want you to do. I want you to say something to pull yourself out of it. You can say, stop, we're not doing this. And then I want you to shift it to a positive thought. Let's say you're standing in front of the mirror and you're starting to point out everything that you hate about yourself, your wrinkles, your hair, whatever it is. I want you to say, stop. And then try and point out something that you love, and do this every time that you notice that you're having a really negative thought. First of all, you are not going to catch every negative thought in action, and that's not the goal. It's whenever you become aware. Awareness first. Awareness is key. When you become aware that you are thinking these things, allow that awareness to guide you through a new path through the forest. It has to be intentional. You have to actually create these new thoughts yourself at first. But I will tell you, once you start repeating the good thing about yourself, the things that you love about yourself, those paths will become easier and easier to walk down, and your brain will start to automatically go down those paths without you having to automatically choose it. So now when I look at myself in the mirror, yeah, sometimes I'll have thoughts like, oh man, I'm starting to age, but my brain will now start to go to, but you're still beautiful. But you're still lovely, but I still love your skin tone. You still have beautiful eyes. You still have a beautiful smile. That's because I have created new pathways through the forest by intention and by practice. I have said those things to myself out loud or in my head every single time that I looked in the mirror. So now it becomes second nature. I have created those new pathways through the forest for myself, and you can do it too. Is it a little bit hard at first? Yes, I'm not going to lie to you, it is. It's just because your brain is so used to walking down those old paths through the forest. But you can create new ones, I promise. Here's how I want you to think of it. I want you to start to speak to yourself like somebody that you love. If your friend, your best friend in the world, who you love, admire, respect, maybe it's a family member, even a sibling, and you heard the nasty things that they were saying to themselves in their head out loud, what would you say to them? Shut the hell up. You're beautiful. You know what I mean? Think of what you would say to them in that moment. You are so beautiful. You're kind. You're loving. You're fucking gorgeous. You have gorgeous hair. You have gorgeous skin tone. What would you say to them? Okay, begin to say those things to yourself. You deserve to hear those things as well. So we're beginning to notice our inner critic and then shift our thoughts to speak to ourselves like somebody we love. It's not about faking or pretending at first, because sometimes when we first start to think these things, our brains are going to think it's a lie. We almost feel like we're lying to ourselves. We're not lying to ourselves. It's just a new thought pattern, and the brain isn't always super on board, especially the ego mind, with changing a negative thought pattern right at first. Our ego can be a lying ass bitch. It tells us stuff that isn't true all the time. Our thoughts are not facts. They're just ingrained thought patterns that were created throughout our life, but we can begin to change them. Here's the other thing. Do not be hard on yourself if you find yourself still thinking really negative thoughts about yourself. It's normal. They've been ingrained for so long. Do not judge yourself for that. We are releasing judgment. Again, here's the kicker. It's anytime that you notice it. When you notice it, okay, awareness has hit. I've noticed that I'm thinking a negative thought. Now let's try and shift it. Maybe place your hand on your heart and say, I love you. I'm proud of you. You're doing your best. And there is always something that you can point out when you're in front of the mirror that you love about yourself. Always. Whether that's a physical characteristic, a characteristic about your personality, something. There is something you can point out to love about yourself. Hell, you can be proud that you got out of bed this morning. Tell yourself that in the mirror. I'm proud of you. I love you. Yes, you might cry at first, but that's okay. It's healing. It's cathartic. Crying is such a good thing. It releases endorphins. It releases the stuck energy that we're holding inside of our body. I know I'm getting passionate about this topic. I am passionate about this topic. I spoke to myself so freaking poorly for years, and I didn't deserve it, and neither do you. God, I was so mean. Here's one good thing that came out of it. Literally nobody can bully me because I've already said the worst possible things to myself in the past. Like, there's nothing that you could say to me that I haven't already said to myself, and probably worse. Do you know what I mean? It has helped me create a little bit of a thick skin with people online because trolls exist. But ultimately, I know those things aren't true. Those people that are saying those horrible things to me online, they don't love themselves. They can't give love to themselves, so they certainly can't give love to somebody else. Okay? This is something we can work on. This is something we can change. This is not set in stone. Yes, it takes work. Yes, it takes conscious effort. Yes, it takes your awareness, but it can be done. I wanted to also offer just some gentle phrases that you might start to say to yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror. So yes, I want you to start to point out the physical things that you love about yourself. And yes, you can always find something. And over time, your brain starts to become more wired to point out the things that you love. I swear, I look at my thighs now, cellulite and all, and I'm like, I fucking love you. I love you exactly as you are. I look at my little belly and I'm like, girl, you are well fed. Do you know what I mean? It does change over time, I promise you. When before I had the most horrible thoughts about my belly, really negative and just bullying thoughts, but it has changed over time. So here are some other thoughts that you might say to yourself, along with pointing out the physical things that you love about yourself. You could say, I love you. Look at yourself in the eyes in the mirror and say, I love you. I'm proud of you. Even if it's just for getting out of bed or brushing your teeth in the morning, maybe it's for applying for a new job. There is something that you are doing every single day that you can be proud of, whether it's just making a meal for your family. Here are some other phrases. I'm doing my best. I am doing the best that I can. You can also look at yourself and say, I am lovable, I am worthy. Exactly as I am. I am lovable, I am worthy. And over time, my reflection has now become a place of safety instead of a place of attack. Honey, we are attacked at every other aspect of the world. You don't need to attack yourself as well. It's okay to release that negative voice. It's okay. Is it still going to be in the background sometimes? Yes, it will. I'll tell you this. Sometimes if I've had like a really bad day or I'm in a really bad mindset, sometimes I'll still step in front of the mirror and I'll notice that my original thoughts will start to pop up. I'll go, oh, you look really tired today. And the second I become aware of it, I'm like, what are we doing? Don't do that. You're tired because you're trying. You're tired because you're trying something new. Do you know what I mean? And beginning to shift those thoughts every single time that you become aware of it. My suggestion is to keep it tiny and keep it real at first. Just think of one thing physically that you love about yourself that you can repeat out loud. And every single time that you step in front of the mirror, I want you to point out that same thing. Over time, maybe add 2 things, maybe add 3 things. But when you catch yourself tearing yourself down in front of the mirror, I want you to say, stop, we're not doing this. And again, find a different, better, positive thought about yourself or just focus on the present moment. You can also just look yourself in the eyes and say one kind sentence, like we talked about earlier. I am doing the best that I can, or I am enough and whole and worthy just as I am. It's okay if it feels awkward or fake at first. That's normal. Nobody's around. Nobody can see you. Do it by yourself. Nobody else has to be in the bathroom with you. Or you can do it in your own head if somebody is in the bathroom with you. Nobody has to know that you're doing this. This is for you. This is for you and your own healing. Here's something I really need you to keep in mind. The win for this is showing up and doing it once. Not doing it perfectly, because those negative thoughts are still going to be there. Those negative thoughts are still going to surface. That is a well-ingrained path through the forest. But again, you can still create new ones. So a win is just becoming aware. Whenever you become aware, maybe that's once a day you become aware that you're thinking a negative thought and you shift it. Maybe it's only once a week that you become aware that you're thinking a negative thought and you shift it. Maybe for now it's once a month. I don't care. A win is a win. But over time, as you begin to practice this, things will begin to shift. And if nobody has told you this, you deserve to look at yourself with love and appreciation. Trust me, other people do. And I know, even as I said that, some of you are going to be like, no, they don't. That's your ego mind talking. They do. There are things about you that people admire. Whether it's that you're a good mother, a good cook, you're a good conversationalist, you dress well, you have a beautiful smile, you have beautiful eyes. There is something. Think of your best friend. What would you say to her? Think of somebody you love. What would you say to them? Start to say those things to yourself. I promise you they're true. Our brain just likes to convince us that they're not sometimes. Because what? Our brain can be a little lying ass bitch. I know it feels hard at first, and that's okay. It's normal. I cannot tell you how many times I cried when I first started doing mirror work or mirror therapy. I would stand in the mirror and I would bawl. I think because I was sad that I hadn't done it sooner. But again, we're not judging ourselves for that. We learn things when we learn things. We don't know what we don't know. We're a product of our environment. We're a product of our programming. That is not your fault. If your parents didn't have the tools, they couldn't have given the tools to you. If their parents didn't have the tools, their parents didn't give the tools to them. It's nobody's fault. If we're going to blame anybody, let's blame society. But it is not your fault. And it does get easier. But it starts with your awareness and your ability to want to change these things. Your ability to want to shift these things. And I believe in you. You fucking got this. After you're done with this episode, please do me a favor. Go and look in the mirror and point out one thing that you love about yourself. And just place your hand on your heart and say, I love you. If you cry, you cry. it's a beautiful cathartic release. Remember that. So as we bring this episode to a close today, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. And just a few short announcements. As always, a reminder, my book, Don't You Dare, is available for purchase on Amazon. If you're wanting to learn more about the ego mind or dive deeper into shadow work, I believe it is a beautiful tool for that. And I'll leave a link below for you to purchase that if you'd like. I also have my Most Loved Meditation Bundle. It's my highly rated meditations over the years, available for purchase. That is also in the link below. I'm also currently working on an affirmation reset course to help us rewire negative thinking, negative beliefs, and limiting beliefs. So be sure to stay tuned for that. I am also a coach and hypnotherapist. If you're wanting some one-on-one support, please visit my website for more information, meganshirey.com, meganshirey.com. And last but not least, I'm a meditation instructor on the Insight Timer app. I teach there every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please be sure to join me there if you can. If you enjoy these episodes, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And please also leave us a review. It helps us to expand this community. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be joyous and at ease. Sending you so much love. And thank you for joining me today. Until next time.